Season of Discovery is finally here, and this is going to be a guide for all Mage DPS specs, giving you everything you need to know, including the best runes and where to find them. Before we get started, please click that subscribe button below because it really helps me out and enables me to continue putting out these guides for you guys to watch. If you do have any questions, etc., then you can also join my Discord, where we have a huge amount of WoW players playing Season of Discovery and also retail. Now, the first thing to look at is what race do you want to pick? If you are going to be Alliance, I would say go with Gnome. They are flat out the best from their intellect racial increase. Humans do also have a bit of extra spirit, etc., but Gnome is the way to go. If you are Horde, however, then I would pick Troll due to their amazing cast time increase with the berserking ability. Now, the first one you're going to want on your stat priority is going to be spell hit. By the way, the cap is going to be at 16% for now. The next up is intellect. An early game at level 25, intellect is king. Okay, we want as much as this as we can get. It's going to increase your mana and also your critical strike chance. 60 intellect roughly translates into about 1% increased critical strike. And because we are playing at such low levels, only to 25 in Season of Discovery, intellect is going to be hard to come by, and therefore any that you can get is going to be an absolute win. Then we have spell damage. This, of course, is another strong stat, increasing your spell damage. And then we have critical strike itself. And lastly, spirit, which is going to give you a bit of mana regen, but isn't something we're going to be actively trying to get as much of as possible. So now looking at the runes, first we're going to go through fire and then we're going to go through arcane. These are the two specs I would personally recommend, with frost being a bit, not very good at the moment, in my opinion. So the first out is burnout. This is going to increase your crit chance by a huge 15%, but non-periodic spells are going to cost 1% additional of your base mana. This is an amazing rune, which is huge for your ignite spell. So ignite is meaning that your critical strikes from fire damage spells cause the target to burn for an additional 40% of the spell's damage. So getting that crit chance up, especially from this rune, is going to be massive from that ignite talent. The second, of course, is Living Bomb, and the target becomes a living bomb, taking huge damage, and then it's going to do AoE when it explodes. This is absolutely mandatory if you are going down fire. And last up is an interesting one, and this is called Living Flame. This summons a spellfire flame that moves towards the target, basically leaving a trail of fire that anything that touches it does damage to. There is another option which you could take, which is Icy Veins, which hastens your spellcasting, increasing spellcasting speed by 20% and reducing the pushback suffered from damaging attacks completely. And this will last 20 seconds. It's kind of up to you which one out of these two you're going to take. I personally would go for Living Flame, but if you do want to take Icy Veins, then I'm not going to stop you. If you're wondering where to get these runes, well, for Burnout, it depends on your race. If you're a gnome, it's going to drop off the frozen trog in the middle of Golbolahor Quarry, and I'll put coordinates down below for that one. Humans, it's going to be frozen murlocs east of the Stone Cairn Lake in Elwyn Forest after attacking it with fire spells. Trolls, it's going to drop from the frozen Makrura in a hut to the right of Razor Hill. Again, I'll put coordinates down below for there. And you're going to have to attack that with fire spells as well. And if you are choosing Undead, which I wouldn't recommend, it's going to drop from a frozen Murloc at a certain coordinate in Tristful Glade. Again, attack with fire spells. Very simple for that one. For the Living Bomb then, if you're Alliance, no matter the race, it's going to drop from Stone Splinter Sears in Loch Modan. And then if you are Horde, you're going to have to complete the Wand to Befor questline, which if you want to begin this, you're going to have to go to the Fenris Isle in Silverpine Forest and kill rot-hides until they drop a talking head. Interact with a grave on the right-hand side of the courtyard to receive the second quest, the Hidden Niche. Fight your way up to the top left tower in the castle on the island and interact with a dusty shelf to complete the quest, which will lead to the final one, which is Wand to Befor. And then last but not least is going to be the Living Flame. Again, race dependent. If you are human, kill the Kobold Geomancer in and around the Jasperlode Mine. I'm pretty sure we all know where that is in Elwyn Forest. Gnomes, you're going to have to kill the Frostmane Shadowcaster and Seers, and I'll give you coordinates for that. Horde, you're going to have to kill Burning Blade Fanatics in Skull Rock in Durotar, and for the Forsaken, it's going to be killing Scarlet Warriors in Tristful Glades. Going on to the Arcane runes, then it's going to be the same with the Burnout and Living Flame. Again, if you do want to use Icy Veins instead of Living Flame, that is up to you. You can also do that on this spec as well for Arcane. But the middle one is going to be Arcane Blast. This is going to be the bread and butter of Arcane. It has just been nerfed a bit, so whether the viability of this isn't going to be as good, and maybe you should go into Fire, we're just going to have to wait and see. Test it out yourself. Let me know what you think. I would say even with the nerf, it's still looking pretty good. It's going to blast the target with damage, and each time you actually cast it, the damage and healing of any spell, so if you're a mage healer, this is going to affect you as well, is going to be increased by 15%, and the mana cost is going to go up too, and this is going to stack up to 4 times, meaning that if you use it 4 times, you're going to be doing a hell of a lot more arcane damage. Even with the nerf, of course, any of the runes are just not viable for this slot, and Arcane Blast is going to be the one to go for. Looking at what gear you can get, a lot of it is actually going to be BOE for the best gear we can acquire. That goes for the Magician's Mantle above my head here, the Black Velvet Robes, Mind Thrust Bracers, and Twisted Chanter's Staves. You can get all of these on the auction house if you're lucky. The Belt of Aragol is going to be from Aragol in Shadowfang Keep, and there are actually quite a few items you can get in Shadowfang Keep. This is probably one of the best dungeons to do at this level. Lawkeeper's Ring, if you can be bothered with doing the PvP, it's going to be the Advisor's Ring for the Horde and Lawkeeper's Ring for the Alliance. This is off the Silverwing Sentinels, Honoured Reputation, or the Warsong Outstriders, I think it is, Reputation. And again, that is Honoured from Warsong PvP Rep. Going then on to the rotations and talents. First up is going to be Fire, and this is the talent tree here. Top row in Fire, we're going to put 5 points into Improved Fireball. This is going to reduce the cast time of our Fireball. Very, very useful. Of course, then we're going to put 5 out of 5 into Ignite on the second row. This is the one we spoke about previously, and just to recap, your critical strikes from fire damage spells cause the target to burn for an additional 40%. So remember, this is why we're picking those certain runes with our fire crit increase. Then 1 out of 2 into Flame Throwing, increasing the range of your fire spell, which is of course be really useful. And then Burning Soul is the last 2 points in Fire, giving your fire spells a 70% chance to not lose casting time when you take damage, and it's going to reduce the fret caused by your fire spells by 30%, because of course, remember in Classic, fret is a lot more important. Our last 3 points we're going to put into Frost, and this is going to reduce the chance that the opponent can resist your frost and fire spells by 6%. Really useful there. Looking then at the rotation for fire, you're going to first of all cast Living Bomb on your target and keep that up as much as you possibly can. The second one, it's going to use your Living Flame rune and use this on cooldown. Of course, if you are taking the Icy Veins rune, then you won't have this available, so skip this step. And then we're going to use Fire Blast if we can with our mana. It's quite expensive. And last of all, it's going to be casting Fireball until your Living Bomb needs to be reapplied or your Living Flame is off cooldown. So just to recap on there, it's going to be Living Bomb, then Living Flame, then Fire Blast and Fireball. Very simple. If you are going down the Arcane route, this is the talent build here you're going to want for that one. So it's going to be 5 out of 5 in the middle at the top of the Arcane tree, which is Arcane Focus, reducing the chance an opponent can resist your arcane spells by 10%. 2 out of 2 points again on the top row going into Arcane Subtlety, reducing the target's resistance to all your spells by 10 and reducing the threat caused by Arcane by 40%, which is huge. Second one is going to be Clear Casting on that second row, 5 out of 5 points there. This basically is a 10% chance that you can actually enter a clear casting state. What does this mean? Well, your next spell is going to be free to cast, costing no mana. Then on the third row, we've got Improved Arcane Explosion, increasing the crit chance of our Arcane Explosion by 6%, which is again huge, with 1 point going into Arcane Meditation, allowing 5% of our mana regen to continue while casting. And of course, again, in Classic, we need that mana. Then looking at the rotation, so again, remember that with our Arcane Blast rune, this is going to increase the damage done by our other spells up to 4 times, stack 4 times if we use it 4 times. So we're going to want to use this first. So we're going to use our Arcane Blast 4 times so that our Living Flame is going to get a ton more damage from the Arcane Blast. Again, if you have taken the Icy Veins rune, you won't be using Living Flame. Then we're going to use Arcane Blast 3 times after we've used our Living Flame on cooldown. We're just trying to keep that buff up. Then we're going to use our Arcane Missiles, use Arcane Blast 3 times, then cast Arcane Missiles, then cast Arcane Blast 3 times, then cast Arcane Missiles, and it's just going to go on like that, using our Living Flame on cooldown and keeping that Arcane Blast buff up as much as possible. And that is pretty much it. That is how you're going to play Mage DPS in Season of Discovery. Really interested to see how you guys get on, depending if you're going Arcane or Fire. So do let me know in the comments down below which you prefer, especially considering the Arcane nerfs that have come in. And again, please don't forget to subscribe. I will be doing a lot more videos coming on Season of Discovery, branching out from just guides to other guides as well, probably. And I will be streaming Season of Discovery as well.